Ah. Well, this week probably couldn't get any more stressful. So I know I kind of talked about how sad I was for Sean, that he was on the block. Lo and behold, it turns out that Sean is very, very upset. Spoiler alert, I bet no one saw that coming. So he proceeds to go on a rampage, or at least a mini rampage, I guess. And I find out through Shelby that him and Brady had a conversation where Sean basically exposes that myself, Joe, and Sean were in an alliance together at the very beginning of the game, and that Sean wants to win HOH so he can put both of us up and expose us as liars, which is probably the greatest news you could really hear in the Big Brother house, which therefore making Brady even more skeptical about me. I knew that him being skeptical of me for the whole last key thing was shady or stupid. This one, okay, I can kind of see where he's coming from. I can kind of give him that one. That is pretty shady. So Sean gets in a call with Joe and I right before veto, just basically kind of, I wouldn't say calling us out, but bringing up all of his concerns and confronting us about it. My goal in this conversation was to just say as little as possible, which I kind of stuck with because I don't think I said a single word, and hopes that this becomes more of a Sean versus Joe thing. I could totally see myself being caught in the crossfire because of this. But at this point, I have no choice but to kind of go into self-defense mode and try and make it look like I have as little to do with this as possible.
A few nights ago, Sean and I had a big blow-up with each other. Jacob was on the call, and really it was just him airing his grievances as to why he thinks I'm a bad ally for him, and basically why he thinks he was put up on the block. I don't take full responsibility for because I never really mentioned that Sean going up was the best thing. I did talk about how Sean could be a potential nominee to Shelby, but it was not anything where I'm like trying to put him up. Him having that big argument with me really, really hurt because I do not want to see him leave this week.
I hate the fact that we made this stupid day one alliance just because we knew each other. I hate that shit. This is why I don't like playing with people that I know. I feel less flexible. I feel obligated to do certain things, and strategically, it makes me feel lost. Like, I can guarantee you that the first week for me would not have been as messy if I didn't have two separate people that I know on two different sides. I want to try and salvage any kind of relationship with Sean by making him feel better and that I am looking out for him, but it makes it so hard to do with just the way things have gone. I don't want to vote Sean out this week, but I'm ready to do whatever I need to do to put myself in as safe a position as I can. Sean revealed to me that he had talked to Brady and revealed that Brady was the person that Sean was covering for about this whole BB Hell thing. And then it all made sense. So I can see that Sean and Brady are getting close. And I know that Brady is afraid of me, or not afraid of me, but he thinks I'm sketchy or shady. I want to try and weaken Brady at this round. So I go back and I suggest to Shelby that she put up Mandy under the guise that, okay, well, Mandy didn't show up for veto. This just seems like the fairest thing to do. But in reality, I want to see if Brady chooses Sean or Mandy this week. I know that he values Mandy as a number, but I also know that he's developing this relationship with Sean. So I kind of want to make Brady choose between his numbers. And at the end of the day, no matter who leaves, Brady is losing someone, which is at my goal at this point. I don't trust Brady. I know how he feels about me. There's just nothing really to say. Like, I want him out of this game, and I want to take the steps towards accomplishing that.
Taylor using the veto on herself has obviously created a scenario where it's going to be either Mandy or Sean. Mandy started campaigning a bit to me this morning. Ultimately, I am going to vote to keep Sean, even if it keeps me in the minority. But I'm going to fight to make sure that I can be in the majority. Sean has worked on campaigning, and I think he has the right ammo to do it. But I don't know if he can salvage those relationships he doesn't have with like Andrew and John. But those are the votes that he needs, and those are the votes he should be working on. If he's working on Chris, that's all for nothing, because Taylor and Chris are a solid twosome, and there's no denying that.
So my goal this week is to hopefully send Mandy home and try and repair some sort of relationship with Sean. I want Sean to know that I'm trying to get him to stay, that I'm checking in with people and, telling them that I like Sean and I would rather Mandy leave, just so if he does win HOH, there's a small chance that he might not nominate me. And the last thing I want to do is go into this vote with 5-4 to vote Sean, and then Andrew decides that he's going to flip out of nowhere again, and then we're left in the cold. Sean is definitely after me. That's just the worst case scenario. I'd rather just accept that Sean's going to stay, vote for Sean to stay, help repair that, we'll send Mandy home, and move on from there. As far as the state of the House, I think this vote will say a lot. I think the House is kind of in like a couple of different groups. Obviously, you have me, Jonathan, Dustin, Shelby, and Joe as kind of a tight group. Jonathan and Andrew seem to be a thing, but I don't trust Andrew and think he wants to play in the middle. And then on the other side, you have Taylor and Chris, who are obviously together. I know Taylor and Sean are close. Sean has been telling me that he's been talking a lot with Ryan, which makes me nervous. I don't feel like I really have Ryan anymore, or at least I don't until Taylor or Sean go, because I know he likes Taylor too. And then you've got Brady, who seems to be close to Ryan, and then now potentially Sean. So basically, it's kind of a split with Andrew in the middle, and I'm kind of on this side, and there are a lot of people on that side that don't trust me. So basically, my position in the House sucks.
So what are you feeling about the vote?
I think that there's pros and cons to each, and I wanted to like weigh them out with you and kind of decide, because I feel like the way we decide to vote would be majority. Mandy is like not really a threat to anyone right now because she's just not active.
There's no benefit.
There's reasons for me to keep her because she's not trying, but there's also like a reason for me not to keep her because like I can't rely on her to be in any part of like a group or anything, because I just don't know where she is or where her head's at. I think that we're in the same boat where we want to be a part of something that actually feels like something.
Yes.
And I don't know if Mandy staying would help that.
Well, like I was on call and they were like discussing the vote, like everybody but Chris Brown. John was like, "So what are we doing?" And then like Chris came on, and then like it was just like silence. And then and like I was on mute because I was eating and I was just laughing. I was trying so hard not to laugh because like I don't know.
So awkward.
And then the way Chris brought up, he's like, "Yeah, I'm down for whatever. Like I don't have anybody."
If we were to decide to vote with them, then they will have more trust in you.
Yeah.
If they're targeting Sean, then why should I evict
Do them
Sean?
a favor, yeah.
Yeah, because they want me out, or they wanted me nominated. They wanted me out, so why would I be helping them?
Yeah. And like I could probably figure that out too, because I'm sure that they're gonna want to talk to me about the vote. So like I could even figure out who they want to target, so that like it makes it easier for us to decide what to do.
So where do I even begin? First of all, Shelby puts up Amanda as the renom. Blah. Gross. I don't want Amanda to leave. I like Amanda and I trust Amanda, and she has my back and I have hers. At first I'm like 50-50 because I feel like Sean's being honest with me too. And then this morning I find out that the people that want to keep Sean are Jacob and Joe. They have now convinced Dustin to do it. And that's already 3. I'm like, what the f***? Those are all Shelby's close people, and yet Shelby's telling me she wants to vote out Sean, but then how come all of her allies are voting out Amanda? That makes no sense. So I think Shelby's lying to me. So then when I find out Shelby's lying to me, I start getting suspicions about her and her word to me, and so I kind of went to Taylor and Chris Brown, and we sort of formed a little alliance, because I need them, and they need me. The other person I obviously really trust is Ryan. I mentioned Ryan to those two, so I mentioned them, and they both agreed completely. So they want to work with Ryan. So our four-person alliance is most likely going to be me, Chris, Taylor, and Ryan. So that's 4 votes voting right now. We need 5 to control the vote. Me and Chris Brown both agreed we wanted to vote out Sean. Then I talked to Ryan. He wanted to vote out Sean. That's 3. Taylor was not on board at the time. Now she is. So we have 4. We have 4 votes to keep Amanda. The 5th is going to be hard. The votes that matter at this point, John and Andrew. Those would be the 2 swings in that scenario. I don't know what each is going to do. I'm going to assume that John will most likely vote with all of his people that just saved him, and he would vote out Amanda. In which case, it comes down to Andrew again. And what happened last time Andrew was a swing vote? He f***ed it up. I don't want him to f*** it up again. So I need to talk to Andrew and make sure he is on board with Operation Send Sean Home, because if that side wants to keep Sean, I'm sorry, Sean, but I'm not doing business with those people anymore, and it says a lot if they all want to save you all of a sudden. It tells me that you went to them and most likely threw us under the bus in some sort of fashion to get their votes to stay. So I want to send them home. I'm going to be going on calls, and I'm going to start the operation, save Amanda, and continue it, and because Amanda needs to stay in the game. I trust her a lot. I want her to work with the group that we are creating with me, Chris, Taylor, and Ryan. I want her to be involved somehow, and I want to win next HOH, and I want to just start taking shots after shots at that other side, because they are way too strong, way too close, way too shady, and they just need to get out.
Heading into the vote, I did tell Sean when he was on the block with Taylor that he had my vote, which was a lie, but he still thinks that I'm voting for him to stay. But in the grand scheme of things, no. I'm not voting for him to stay because he has connections with Jacob and Joe, and that's a scary thing. Even though he says that they're not that connected, I feel like that's a bunch of bullshit, and they've met in real life, and I found out some dirt, found out some tea, so Sean, you gotta go, unfortunately. You're a really nice dude, nothing against you, but Jacob and Joe have too many connections in this game, and you have to go. You're a byproduct of that, you have to go. And Mandy is a weak player in this game, and she messaged me saying that weak players need to stick together, directed at me. So people are thinking that I'm just this weak, crazy, drunk guy, which is perfect. That's the exact role I want to be in right now. I want people to not see me as any sort of threat, and I feel like no matter what happens next week, I still won't be nominated because there's a lot bigger fish to fry in this game right now than me. I mean, we're looking at potentially formulating a 4-person alliance, which I'd be really cool with, because we need to start getting some numbers in this game and start making some headway. Because I mean, I'm fine with laying back, but at the same time, I still would like the reassurance of knowing I have a small alliance there and people that I can rely on to have my back in this game, because ultimately you do need a few allies. You can't just do everything by yourself. If we form that 4-person alliance and we all save Mandy, if we can pull that off, keep Mandy in the game, we can use her as a number, she'll be expendable to us, and instantly things will kind of flip itself on its side, we'll have control, and then hopefully we can win, one of us can win HOH next week and start making some headway in this game. John is a piece of shit. He hasn't answered any of my messages back. He's going to talk when it's convenient for him. You know what? He is playing probably the worst social game that I've ever seen in any game. Terrible f***ing social game, dude. If you want... wow, I honestly can't believe it. And he's going to wind up getting out sooner rather than later. Because if you don't talk to people, how do you expect to not be nominated? Like, you're not building relationships with people, you're not talking to people. That's the whole point of the game, dude. Like, come on, you've played other games before, you should know this. You think you learn from your mistakes, but dude, you're a idiot, dude. You're such an idiot. But whatever, it is what it is. So I'm going to now hop off and have a good rest of my work day, and we'll see what happens with the eviction tonight. But your boy Ryan is safe another week, and looks like I should also be safe headed into week 3. Knock on wood.
Sean told me that their entire side, being all of them, if they win next HOH, told him that they wanted to put up you 2. And I'm probably the renom. Here's the best part. So Shelby tells me all day yesterday when she puts up Amanda that Sean's the target, because she knew I would want to keep Amanda, and she kept saying that over and over. And John said he wanted to keep Amanda. Dustin wanted to keep Amanda. Now today I go to class and I come back, and all of a sudden Dustin wants to evict Amanda. John wants to evict Amanda. I asked Shelby, I literally said, Shelby, how is it possible that you're the HOH, you want Amanda to stay, but literally all of your allies are evicting Amanda? And she's like, well, I actually don't really care what happens anymore. And I'm like, interesting. Now you don't care. That's a huge that's a huge sign that like they got Sean over there. So
Shit is going down, okay? A lot of shit has transpired over the past 24 hours, or less than 24 hours actually, from the veto ceremony. Now we have a choice between Mandy and Sean. Now, originally going into this, I thought that it would have been a super easy decision. It would have been hands down, like keeping Sean, voting to evict Mandy, call it a day, done. But some new revelations have come to light, and now I am forced to really think very hard about my choice, because I think my choice really, really can affect the game hardcore.
It's almost week 3 and I don't know anything that's going on, so I'm just like, okay, like I legitimately feel like not good, like not in a good position at all. I don't feel like great about where I stand because I don't feel like I stand hardcore with anyone. I've never had a game where I felt like this before, so I don't feel like I'm gonna do well.
well, Chris, if that counts, I got your back.
I feel like there's so many like little relationships, whether they're like pre-game or existing like from the game. And even with the way that the vote went last week, like I feel like there's tons of crossover with relationships between the voting sides.
Yeah, at least when it comes to me, I'm not having like the conversation because I feel like everyone's like scared to like talk because everyone's scared to be associated with someone. Because if you're associated with the group, then you're automatically gonna be targeted right away. Like that's what I feel like is going on, and it's driving me crazy because it's like, well, what the f- am I supposed to do if I have no information? I have a big mouth. I'm social. Like I usually can like talk to people and they talk back to me, but I'm just not getting anything, and it's making me so uneasy.
In week 1, when I was asking for your vote, and you were like, "No, I don't know," and then like, I don't know. I felt like the reason why I haven't talked game with many people in general, but like the reason why I was nervous after that vote was because I feel like I tried to talk to you for like 45 minutes and you wouldn't give me anything. It's very frustrating talking to Chris because he tells me what he thinks I want to hear by keeping it vague and not really committing to anything. He's definitely the most non-committal person in the game, probably to everyone except when he talks to Taylor.
We did talk. I felt like I gave you a lot. I told you where my mind was in that moment.
All I kept getting was, I want to be in the majority. And I'm like, I don't know where the majority is. Like, I think it could be a 5-5 tie if you voted. And I had
either, but for me, it's just like, okay, we're talking this out. We're talking out the pros and the cons of each side, which I'm clearly understanding, but I genuinely don't know what I'm doing because I only talked to you. At that point, I had talked to you and maybe a few other people. Like, I hadn't finished my conversations. So, yes, there were people that were saying, oh, I may do this. I think there were 4 people who were kind of ambivalent until like the very end. And then for me, it got kind of quiet. Like maybe that's what I'm getting now. Like that's the result of that. But as you can see, I'm sitting here on a house call, openly talking about the fact that I don't talk to anyone and that
I know.
I'm always down to talk.
Joe and Jacob, like, they have not given me even a chance to work with them. Joe has basically dismissed me from any opportunities of working with him, in essence, because I didn't follow like a good soldier and do what he wanted me to do on week 1, which was vote to evict Pam. He got his way. I was very open with him, and I was actually really insulted and irritated with him on the group call, talking about how I was not open and upfront with him about the vote. Excuse me, we had 45 minutes of conversation. I talked with you about everything that was on my mind, the pros and cons that I was weighing back and forth. And ultimately, I left you with that conversation saying that I was more than likely going to vote John. I was undecided because I still had several people that I needed to talk to, but I'm more leaning towards voting John for the reasons that I've stated above. That bridge is burned, done, and it's so obvious that him and Jacob are working together. Thing with Jacob, though, is that he can be charismatic and whatever, but I know that he is down and willing to do whatever he needs to do in order to enhance his game. So when the time comes, hopefully when I win HOH and put them both up on the block, I'm ready for him to throw Joe under the bus because that's what I think will happen. So it looks like the lines have definitely been drawn in the sand. I'm on the side of Taylor, Brady, Ryan, and whichever of the two stays, Mandy or Sean. I think right now what's best for my game and for me is for Mandy to stay because she seems like she'd be more loyal and doesn't necessarily have the ties that Sean has currently on that side. In terms of my conversation with Sean regarding Joe and Jacob, he didn't immediately come clean to me, which was kind of alarming earlier in the game when we were supposed to be good allies. But today, now that his back's kind of against the wall, he came clean to me and just told me about how him, Joe, and Jacob had an alliance in the very beginning. He didn't feel that he was included in the group and that, you know, they obviously have other things in mind and have him low on the list of priorities. So he's ready to kind of jump ship and, play to kind of get one of them out. It's just very difficult to feel as if I can trust him if he was so quickly and so easily to link up with them, it not to work or go his way, and then to now all of a sudden want to be working with the other side. It's just kind of like, okay, if you're not feeling like you're a priority on this side, are you going to do the same thing and flip back to the other side? It's just kind of like you've set a precedent now, and it makes it really difficult to trust. Right now, I need everyone that I can in my corner to be honest with me and to be guns blazing to get out Joe or Jacob or John. Like, if I can. It sounds like a fucking song. John, Jacob, Jingleheimer, Schmidt. We have a lot of pairs going on in this game, and it's interesting that, Joe and Jacob are probably twisting and wanting to come after Taylor and I. Confirmed, by the way, because you have big mouths and you have told people, so now I know that you're coming after Taylor in the next round if you get power. Like, oh my god, we're like a Wicked Witch pair when they're a pair. Shelby and Dustin are a pair. There are a lot of pairs in this game, so I am fairly certain what I'm going to do tonight. I've kind of weighed the pros and cons of, keeping Mandy, keeping Sean. I had a really good conversation with Sean, but at the same time, it's just always that doubt there. And just, it's all about following your gut and what you feel is going to be best for you in your game. So I'm hoping that I really make the right choice tonight.
I don't understand. Like, Sean has a better chance of winning HOH than Mandy, apparently, maybe. I don't know. Possibly. But you're willing to throw it away at the thought that perhaps Sean could flip and work with me and Jacob. Despite already knowing that he's already blown up at me once, and he's kind of a free agent. He thinks he's not really in anything solid, so he would go wherever, but Mandy is going to be loyal to you. But Mandy cannot be loyal to you when she's not HOH. Like, she can't do anything.
I thought going into this vote that Sean was definitely going to stay. I didn't think that I thought Chris and Taylor were definitely going to vote to keep him since he was close to Taylor, supposedly Chris. But after talking to Brady and Chris, they both pretty much told me that they're voting to evict Sean. And I think the reason is because they think Sean is going to flip to us, which I guess Sean maybe had told them about an alliance that me, Joe, and Sean had at the very beginning. So that probably sketched them out.
And then he's probably telling people about the alliance that he tried making with me and Taylor, which just makes them look sketchy.
And I can vouch for both because Sean told me both when he was on his campaign
So
trail.
he's telling you. Who knows who else he's telling?
Joe is telling me that apparently Taylor wants Mandy to stay. She doesn't want Sean to flip to us and knows Mandy won't flip.
Oh my goodness. He unintentionally killed Sean.
Yeah, I think they're legitimately voting out Sean. Jeez.
They're literally doing it in exchange of Sean for Mandy.
Which is crazy.
I'm sorry, but that was a
Like, you really think that Mandy's going to be more valuable for them moving forward?
I think
They just want numbers. All they want is like a probability.
If Sean goes, I'll be upset. If he does go, I hope he knows that I had nothing to do with it and I did not want to see him go home this week.
So here I am, all day, trying to save Mandy, trying to get the votes to keep her and campaigning to people to keep her. And what does she do? She goes and tells Sean, the other nominee, exactly who is telling her they're going to keep her. She literally told Sean that me, Chris, Taylor, and Ryan had promised her our votes. And then she said she thinks that us four are an alliance and want to keep her to add to the alliance. Oh my god. I'm trying so hard to save her and she does that. Right when she did that, guess what Sean did? Sean went to the other side and told them all it. And now John wants to evict Mandy. Dustin wants to evict Mandy. Jacob and Joe are already evicting Mandy. That's 4. If anyone else evicts Mandy, she's leaving. So I'm trying to combat that 4 with the people I completely trust. I trust for a fact Chris Brown is evicting Sean. I know I'm evicting Sean. I know Ryan's evicting Sean. Taylor is telling me she's going to do it. I'm a little skeptical just because I know she's close with Sean, but I'm going to assume that she is not lying to me right now, because if she is, I'm so But let's say we have Taylor. 4-4. Who's the swing again? Does it sound familiar, Andrew? So now, I'm going to be going on call with Andrew. I'm going to be talking to Andrew the next 4 hours like crazy. Now I'm going to make sure, if it comes down to Andrew, that we have the votes, because Amanda needs to stay. I think she realizes how much she screwed up, and I'm just hoping that her big mistake doesn't end up sending her home, because it will not just send her home, it would also f*** me over in the process. So, get ready for a wild eviction tonight, because this vote's going to come out 5-4. Another split vote. I don't know how it's going to go either. It's literally going to be 50-50, just like the last one. It's crazy. Craziness. This game is lit.
Mandy can't do anything and she's useless, but she's a useful number to them. Like, if you're on the block, she's not going to vote to keep you. That's the thing.
But then neither was Sean.
He will, though. He will. The only reason I want to keep Sean is because he's a number against Taylor right now, because Taylor has so many individual deals with people that are loyal to her. If you keep Sean, even though you guys haven't talked that much, he will know, and I will tell him, you have to fight for Andrew. Like, he was literally your saving grace. There's no reason for Andrew to even go or hit the block and do like that. And he would obviously keep you safe. Like, he has a real good chance of winning HOH compared to Mandy.
Let's check in with the house guest now. House guest!
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie. Hey.
It has been quite an eventful couple of weeks. I do have some questions for some of you. Jonathan.
Yes.
This past HOH competition tested your observational and memory skills. What 3 words would you use to describe the competition?
Those were my 3 words. Memorable, fun, and hard.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Michael Brady. What's cracking? You were the host of the Nice Move Power of Veto competition. How did you feel watching your fellow house guests compete?
I'm gonna be honest, I had too much fun with that. I actually wasn't even really paying attention to who was winning at all. I was just reading the lines and going from there. It was fun. I don't know. I just knew Taylor won at the end. Congratulations. That's all I said. I don't know.
Awesome. Sounds good. Dustin.
Hi, Julie. You look great tonight.
Thank you so much. I love compliments.
Good.
Been a couple of weeks that you've been in the game. How would you describe the mood right now before eviction?
Oh, it's great. I just love, absolute, total, silence. It's just so quiet. No one knows what's going on. And I'm lying. It's a mess.
Sounds good. Jacob.
Hello, Julie.
Hello, Jacob. You came in as an ex-production twist member, and it completely changed everything about the game. How do you feel about this twist and how it impacted your game?
I think this twist has been really crazy. If there's one thing I've learned from being inside the Basics house rather than watching the Basics house, definitely not as easy as it looks.
Thank you so much, Jacob.
Thank you, Julie.
That concludes all of our questions. We will soon go to the voting booth to vote to evict. But before we do that, we will give each of the final nominees a chance for their final plea. Mandy, you're up first.
This house has been all over the place all day. I have given more time today, I think, in the game than I have in the last week, which I hope says something positive about my game in terms of people wanting to beat me. I'm not a threat. I'm hoping that people see that I do want to be here. I gotta not have impromptu business trips. I do hope that y'all vote with your heart and know that my heart is in this game. So I will stand by for the results.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mandy. Sean, you may now give your speech to the House guest. Since Sean's audio is not working, he will type his speech into the chat. That's the commercial. We'll be back after these messages.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Somebody help me!
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can help you fast.
This is Life Alert. Are you okay? I'm calling for help now.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Thanks to Life Alert, I can have peace of mind and continue my independence.
Ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong.
On my way to the Big Brother house, I almost got stopped at the airport for trying to smuggle in these guns.
Big Brother Basics premieres weekly, Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
You must be jelly, cause jam don't shake like that.
Only on CBS.
Welcome back.
Sean says, I fully support Chris and have his back. Vote to keep me, dude. That's my speech. All right. Thank you so much, Sean. We will now go into the voting booth. Taylor, you're up first. Hello, Taylor.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Sean.
Thank you so much. Please send the Google Hangout link to Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Mandy.
Thank you very much. Please send the Google Hangout link to Jacob. That's one vote Mandy, one vote Sean. Let's see how Jacob votes. Hello, Jacob.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Mandy.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Please send the Google Hangout link to Chris.
Thank you.
Sean pleaded his life for Chris. Will he change his mind? Let's find out. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Sean.
Thank you very much. Please send the Google Hangout link to Michael Brady.
Okay.
Hello, Michael Brady.
Hello.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict. Hopefully Sean leaves. I vote to evict Sean. I just messed that all up, damn it. Okay.
Thank you so much. Please send the Google Hangout link to Ryan.
Ryan? Gotcha.
That's 3 votes for Sean, 2 votes for Mandy. Let's see how Ryan votes. Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
Please cast your vote to evict.
Alright, I vote to evict Sean.
Thank you very much. Please send the Google Hangout link to Jonathan.
Thank you. Hey, Mom.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hi.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict, Mandy. I vote to evict Mandy.
Thank you very much. Please send the Google Hangout link to Dustin.
Okay.
Hello, Dustin.
Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Mandy.
Thank you very much. Please send the Google Hangout link to Andrew.
Thanks.
4 votes Mandy, 4 votes Sean. Up to Andrew. Let's see how he votes. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, Julie.
Please cast your vote to evict.
I love being the swing vote for the second week in a row, but I sadly vote to evict Sean. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. You may join the living room and join your fellow house guests.
Thank you.
It's official. By a vote of 5-4, Sean will be leaving the Big Brother Basics house. Let's deliver the news to the house guests. House guests, the results are in. Reminder, the evicted house guest will just have a few moments to gather his or her belongings, say their goodbyes, and walk out the BB Basics door. By a vote of 5-4, Sean, you have been evicted from the Big Brother Basics house. And with that, we are down to 11 people. HOH is Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Good luck and good night. Hello, Sean. You may set your bags over here.
Hold on a second.
The seat.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
God, finally. Skype literally was just. I pulled it up on both my phones at the same time, and it was just different frozen people on different phones. No voice. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I can't even see myself. Like, I don't know if I was even on the screen. Like, it was a mess. Like, I was like, I don't know
Sorry
what's
to hear that.
happening.
Yeah, this definitely wasn't the eviction experience we wanted you to experience, but
No,
you're here now. If you didn't hear, the vote was 5-4. How do you feel about that? Any initial thoughts leaving the Big Brother Basics house?
I mean, I pretty much knew going into it was going to end up being 5-4. I mean, it was really stupid. Like the people 4 of the 5 who voted me did it for a really stupid reason, which was if the other 4 are voting to keep you, then we must vote you out. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And they're like, but we're against them. So if they want you to stay, then we should want you to leave, right? Like, logically speaking. And I was like, I guess if that's how you logically think, like, then there you go. And then, of course, Andrew was the other one, and he doesn't do anything. So that's
Do you feel like there are some like very firm sides? And if you were to remain in the house, how would you navigate between them?
I didn't necessarily feel like there were firm sides even going into. I mean, there was a time when I thought, okay, like Shelby, Joe, Jacob, John, Dustin area was a thing, some combination of that. But then, like, as people were saying stuff, they were like, hey, I didn't know about the nominations. I didn't know about these types of things. And then in the veto competition, like, they really didn't support each other in the veto. Like, and so I was like, it was such an easy challenge to not Taylor out if that was who their target was. And they didn't do it. And she won the veto. So I was like, okay, they're not a very good, if they are a unit, they're really bad. So so I didn't necessarily think it was two sides, but then of course, anytime you claim something's a group, it has to become a group because they have no choice. So I think that's what happened with both sides was like, well, we have no choice but to become sides. So,
Sure.
And
let's talk about your first week in the game.
Okay.
I think there are a couple of relationships that were good for you, but maybe not necessarily good for the people you were good with. So I'm referring to Jacob and Joe, and I'm also referring to your relationship with Taylor. I remember you were on a Skype call with Taylor where Jacob, I believe, wanted y'all to develop some sort of something, right, as like an alliance or group, and you were kind of pitching out the idea to Taylor. What was your thoughts of this conversation with Taylor, and was this the beginning of the unraveling of the sides potentially?
Okay. So Taylor actually mentioned it at one point that she would like me and her to team up with Jacob and Joe. And can you hear me? Because it's like kind of jittery. Okay.
I can hear you.
That she thought that the 4 of us should team up with Jacob and Joe, but we needed to make sure we brought in 1 or 2 people that were like our people, so that when the time came, we could cut Joe and Jacob. And I was like, okay, cool, like that works for me. Like, whether I was going to actually cut Joe and Jacob, I'm like, at least that's like a long way down the road and we're making a group. So that's how Shelby came into the picture. And as soon as I started mentioning it to Joe and Jacob, they were like, "Oh, we're not working with Taylor." Like that type of thing. Like, holy crap! So to me, I definitely think Joe and Jacob were the first ones to kind of throw the gauntlet down. As far as I know, that was my first interaction with that. Taylor was all for it, and Joe and Jacob, especially Jacob, was like, absolutely not. They were sure that Taylor was coming for them. There was a rumor week one that somebody told Brady to nominate Joe and Jacob, and Joe was very set that it was Taylor that did it. I have no proof of this. I have no idea if Taylor did. Joe didn't have any proof, he said, so I don't know where he came up with that, but like it just seemed like there was some animosity there between all of them.
Very interesting. So
Yeah.
you go into week 2. Shelby ends up winning HOH. Now you did try to pull Shelby and Taylor into a Google Hangout to form something, but at the end of the day, Shelby nominated both you and Taylor. Why do you think she did that?
I think it was because we pulled her into the thing, I guess. Shelby ended up telling me, I mean, because we got to talk about it some, and, you know, she was just like, I didn't know where you stood, and I didn't feel like we'd spoken very much, and nothing ever came of that conversation. And the reason nothing ever came of the conversation was because that was when Jacob messaged me and was like, I don't want to work with Taylor. So I thought, well, there's no point in me making this alliance because my other alliance doesn't want Taylor in it. So it didn't take off. And so it kind of just left me in a weird spot because I'm like, well, I like Shelby, I like Taylor, and I like Jacob and Joe. So, but they don't seem to be like cohesing together. And, so then, I don't know, Shelby kind of just blamed everybody else for our nomination. She was like, people were in my ear, and like, you know, it really, I feel stupid because I made a bad choice and all that kind of stuff. So whether or not that was the case or not, I mean, I'm sure now at this point, like since all of her closer people like voted for me to stay or whatever and I left, then yes, she probably is like, I made a bad choice. So, you know, that's kind of why it never happened. Apparently Taylor was like pushing a BB Hell thing. I don't necessarily know that she was. I know Brady was pushing a BB Hell thing at one point. So I don't know. I'm not sure with that. So, but I think that's why Shelby put us up.
I see.
Well, I think she put up Taylor because of the Hell and then me because she thought I was just close with Taylor, which clearly I was extremely close with Taylor since she just voted me out. So to keep of all people. So that's
Right.
that's where we're at.
Were you surprised at Shelby's renomination? Did you think Mandy was going to be the person sitting next to you? And what were your initial thoughts being on the block next to Mandy?
Well, I mean, Shelby had kind of all but told me that Andrew was going to be the one that went on the block. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I feel like I could cream him in a vote. So when it was Mandy, I was like, okay, like that's still okay, like that kind of thing. Like that shouldn't be too bad because last week my case about what weirded me out about the John situation was people's reasoning. They were like, we want to get rid of Pam because Pam could be a constant pawn up on the block, and everybody in the game was very concerned about this, so they wanted to get rid of Pam because of that fact. Then when this week came around, you would think based on their figuring of that, which I didn't believe last week and I don't believe now, that everyone would be like, well, now we need to get rid of Amanda because Amanda could just be the pawn all the time to ensure someone goes home. And that didn't seem to be the case. And so but I still was like, okay, I at least know I have like Taylor, Chris, like that part of the people, and I'll just really have to work hard on like John or Dustin kind of thing. And it actually was the exact opposite. So there was just a big push from them to save Amanda for some reason. And because they were like, well, we need her to be in a group with us. And I was just very like, okay, cool. Like if that's who you want in a group with you, go for it. Like that's insane. But I literally messaged Chris and I was like, that's insane. Like that's the decision you've come to, but that's okay.
So, what was your reason for your eviction speech being very directed at Chris?
That was because Chris was the person that I trusted the most in the game. I trusted him implicitly, and I had spent all day he had been the first one that was like, I'm keeping you, I'm keeping you. Even when Amanda went up, he was the first person that was very reassuring that he was keeping me. And then today I asked him, like, hey, are you keeping me? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Well, Amanda, being the way Amanda is, she cannot keep her mouth shut. Like, she can't keep anything to herself. And like, she doesn't talk a lot, but when she does, it's literally to tank everything going on around her. So she messaged me and was like, hey, Sean, these are all the people. This is everyone in the game and what they're telling me. And I was like, thank you for that information. Cool. So like, that's what prompted me to know the people I thought I had have now flipped on me. And so of course I message like Brady and Chris and Ryan and Taylor, and I'm like, hey, Amanda's saying that you've promised her the world to keep her. And Chris is like, up until that point, Chris had said no, that he wasn't keeping her. And then as soon as I did, he was like, you're really starting to concern me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, why doesn't anyone ask people when things come up? Like, why doesn't Shelby come ask me, hey, I've heard about this BB Hell thing? Instead, she's just like, no, I believe whoever, and I'm voting for you. Or like this round, I mean, Taylor wouldn't talk to me all day. Like, she refused to get on call with me. Ryan and Brady didn't want to talk to me. So Chris was the only one that would actually speak to me really out of that group. And so I was just trying to reassure him and say, like, I trust you fully. As soon as, if you keep me, I will do anything to keep you. And I really would have. Like, I wanted to work with him as my number one ally. That's a big cause of the breakdown of my alliance with Joe and Jacob. It wasn't keeping Taylor. It was that they didn't like Chris was the problem. So I was like, hey, you know, you're going to need support. And Chris had just been telling me that he felt every time he plays a game like he's by himself and he's on the outs. And I said, well, here you go. You have somebody that really wants to work with you and will veto you off the block and will do all these things, but you want to keep Amanda, who you know isn't going to do any of this stuff for you, and you're still going to feel alone even within your own alliance. And he's like, no, I completely acknowledge that. I completely know that's what's going to happen. And I'm like, well, if you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. So if that's where you want to end up. So I just thought, you know what, I'll publicly say it, and at worst it might reassure him, and at best, if it's not working anyway, then it still makes him look as bad as even if he'd have voted for me. So I'm like, cool, either I saved myself or it was a huge dick move, like one of the two. So
Awesome. And I know it's really early, but do you have any predictions for who the winner will be?
I would say Shelby. So I think either Shelby or Dustin, or on the other end, I think Brady would have a good chance. Some combination of those three, I think will win. My best guess is Shelby, though.
Awesome. Well, in the event you were evicted, the house guest left some goodbye messages for you. Let's take a look over here and let's listen.
I want you to know that I did not vote you out, and I hope that you're not seeing this message. I'm sorry I wasn't a better ally, but I love you with all my heart.
I'm kind of bummed, which might be surprising to you. You made that alliance with me and Taylor or whatever group thing, and it was very confusing for me, and I felt like I was being played. I think that you're amazing, and I'm really sorry that I nominated you.
I definitely voted to keep you. It's hard playing a game with people that you know, especially when you guys are good friends. And I definitely consider you a good friend.
I really didn't want this to happen, but it's kind of where the cards fell. I hope that I can avenge you.
When Amanda went up, I really didn't know how I was going to vote between you two. And the difference was today, the people that wanted to save you were just people I don't trust at all. So that's why I just decided to keep Amanda, and I'm sorry, man.
That Joe and Jacob connection was a little bit of your unraveling. I hope that this is not the end of our communication and that we definitely link up, meet up, all that good stuff, because I genuinely like you a lot.
I don't think you're getting evicted, but if you do get evicted, I have to record a thing. So I wasn't the one in charge of it, so sorry.
Any initial thoughts?
I actually couldn't hear any of it. It was very jittery, so I have no idea. So I don't know. Who's
all right.
So no idea on that. But like that's what I could hear just bits and pieces enough to know that like it really was a thing of, hey, we trust you and support you and everything. And I'm like, okay, well, you're my allies. I'm with you. And now only because the other side is like, well, we're also going to keep him. They could have just made it a unanimous thing. They're like, well, we need to keep Mandy, who will not win a challenge. And also the other side's not going to nominate her. I'm like, you've all put yourself in a much worse position by doing this. So I'm very like, I don't think they thought it through at all. It was really weird.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for playing Big Brother Basics Season 3. We hope you had a good time here, and have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.